Princess Maker 2, a game where you're entrusted to raise a pure and innocent girl sent from the heavens. In other words, the perfect game for off-season Smash players. That's right, kids. In this game you play as Daddy, and your goal is to get your daughter to become the person you want her to be. And yes, that can include marrying her. Kind of a suspicious concept for a game, huh? Ignoring minor details like the fact that I played it, let me ask the most important question. What class of perverts would make a game like this? Apparently, Studio Gainax. Or translating for those few of you who haven't been completely infected by the anime virus, it's the guys who made Evangelion. You know, that famous show with a purple robot and an unholy amount of sexual tension? But before someone starts ranting in the comments something about anime mommy GFs and Freud's stages of psychosexual development, I'll actually begin talking about the game I'm supposedly reviewing. So here we go. In a fantasy world, there is a kingdom. The people of the kingdom were lazy, bisexual, eat hot chip and lie. So the gods decided to send Lucifer, Lord of Hell, to genocide mankind. You, as in the protagonist, are a traveling murder hobo that out of coincidence spots Satan about to go all Mr. Clean on humanity, and then decide to fight him for shits and giggles. Surprisingly, you win. In fact, your thick thighs and inhuman strength seem to be so impressive that you earn the respect of the king, Lucifer, and even the gods themselves. As such, the king promptly invites you to become a permanent guest of honor in his estate, and to keep you in his good graces, he offers you an annual paycheck of 500 gold. All is well and good, and you get used to your new life as a royal neat. But one night, the gods decide to mail you a 10-year-old girl, stating that it's your responsibility to raise her, and that if they don't like how she turns out when she becomes 18, then mankind is just not worth the effort. And with this very questionable set of circumstances, the game begins. Gameplay. Well, now you got your daughter. She's young, innocent and bright and has a promising future ahead of her. The world is her oyster, and her oyster is your world. As her appointed father, your role is to micromanage her life and never raise a finger other than to issue commands. Basically, you advance the game by choosing her schedule and assigning her to activities, mostly classes, part-time jobs and leisure, which will raise and sometimes decrease her stats. But God forbid you're as dumb as I was and immediately send her to school. Education, playtime, not shitting yourself to death because of dysentery? Not in the dark ages, baby. Our royal disability check only covers enough for food, and we're lucky we've got that. With my funds near zero after a single month of tuition, I had to rely on the only practical solution to this crisis: child labor. So I chose the highest paying job from the menu and sent my pink goblin off with a small pat on the back. But to my immense disappointment, not only did she come back empty-handed, but the stress of work took so much of a toll on her body that she became severely sick. Apparently, if your daughter's stress surpasses her stamina, she falls ill, and she doesn't begin with much stamina at all. However, I've found two approaches that can resolve this new issue. Option 1. Feed her a healthy, nutritious diet. Option 2. Send her to the rice fields. In this world, it's plow or get plowed, and the physical labor will make her strong. Execute both strategies at the same time, and soon you'll make your daughter into a living forklift. But if you go through with option 1, watch out, as she will sooner or later get fat, which drops her charisma every month. And let me tell you, it's gonna be sooner rather than later, as I didn't even notice the moment my daughter was considered dummy thick by the game. Something that, according to my analysis, is only half right, actually. But hey, if putting beauty standards on a virtual preteen gets you going, check this out. The game gives you her waist, hip and bust measurements that increase as she grows. Not only that, but they also went the extra mile to display how her image changes as she gets older and bigger. Here's a hot tip: you can buy her titty growth pills, because that's what good dads do. But I'm getting sidetracked. Once you got a good grip of keeping your daughter healthy and productive, and don't dip into debt like an idiot, the rest of the game is just grinding stats and exploring the world. As such, if your kid has some combat skills, she can go into the wildly for some questing and PvP, and here's where some of the most interesting things in the game can happen. For example, she can hook up with Satan, or kill a god. These events may lead you to a special ending, and in the end getting all of them is the real point of the game. Depending on your stats, who she marries, and if you've cleared some special conditions, you get a specific epilogue, a final score, and an inane comment from the pantheon of moral superiority. What's cool about this is that every ending is unique, and there's a lot of them. You'll find they're pretty diverse in type as they range from Queen to Queen of Hell to Bondage Queen. But as interesting as they are, and as much potential they have for me to joke about them, I won't cover them all, because I respect your time. Instead, I'll just cover the special marriage endings, with an overview of the bachelors and the requirements to win each of their respective hearts. Hello and welcome to Princess Matcher 2, the segment where you'll learn how to manipulate your daughter's love life. I'll be presenting each marriage candidate by stating the following: their name, facts about them, and a walkthrough on how to get the guy to propose. Now that we're clear, let's bring in asshole number 1. His name is Cube. He's a femboy, works for us as a butler, likes getting choked, and got his skull badly fractured 5 years ago when he paid a prostitute to sit on him. In order to win his affection, repeatedly get your daughter knocked out in the wilderness so that he'll carry her back home as stated by his butler contract. Through exposure therapy, he will eventually get over his trauma to physical contact with women and fall in love. Up next is Lucifer, the Lord of Hell. He smells like rotten eggs, writes 666 on every single toilet stall he visits, and will constantly tell you to pull his finger. If you do, watch out, as he will rip the screaming souls of the damned out of his ass and laugh about it for the rest of the week. It sounds something like this. If you want to marry him, find him in the desert. He will offer you to drink from an artifact called the Chalice of Kum. Drink from it. Once you've done that, the requirements are just to have more than 300 charisma, 200 refinement, and have sin be double your morality. Now comes the dragon. He has scale rot since he never bathes, spends every waking hour on his crystal ball, browsing a weird image board with racist frogs, and refuses to eat anything other than live chickens, and calls them tendies. If you need his love, first go find him in the ruins and defeat him in battle. He'll go into denial that a quote-unquote femoid is stronger than him. After that, go to the center of the ruins and speak twice with his grandpa. He'll begin hatching a plan to throw the man-child out of his home. Then wait until they come visit you. They'll make an offer of 10,000 gold for your daughter's hand in marriage. Say yes. Now finally for the most important part. Don't qualify for any other marriages, as your daughter will immediately ditch his ass if given a chance, even if you agree to the proposal and took the money. Next comes the prince. He does not contain a single drop of blood, his heart is the size of a peppercorn, his head is full of water, he has a single testicle, black as coal, and is the best marriage in terms of score. If you want him to be your man, meet a young officer in the palace every January of every year. The truth is, the officer is just a prince in the medieval equivalent of a kindergartner going to school dressed like the Flash. Once he reaches adulthood, his parents will allow him to marry the only person that has the patience to deal with this inbred husk of a man. Now, finally, the player character, or her dad. This man's weight is incalculable by human methods and can only be qualified as fool. His sweat tastes like raw garlic, and in the rare case that he stands up on his own 2 feet, the whole kingdom enters a state of alarm, as he may drop his mass at any given moment and the resulting shockwave can and will decimate anything and everything in a 200-meter radius. If you want to marry your own child, have her develop Stockholm Syndrome. You can do this by keeping her at home, doing chores with no outside contact, or repeatedly making her fall ill from stress and nursing her back to health. Once she becomes afraid of the outside world, while also associating the smell of sulfur farts with safety, she's yours for the taking. If your daughter doesn't meet the requirements for any of these specimens, she's safe and marries a normal person. And that, my friends, is almost all that Princess Maker 2 has to offer. In conclusion, is this game worth playing? Nah. Well, unless you want your name next to mine on an FBI watch list.